Hello, my name is Ana Gonzalez, and today I'll be talking about the life at the Manzanar as a teenager. So in 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and therefore President Franklin ordered an executive order to forcefully relocate Japanese Americans from their homes to internment camps. So about 2/3 of all Japanese Americans at the Manzanar were American citizens by birth. The Manzanar was one of the 10 camps where the US government incarcerated Japanese immigrants. And Manzanar was a concentration camp situated in the foot of Sierra Nevada. Okay. Where more than 10,000 Japanese people were detained during World War II. And I got this information from Gregory Lee. And then the other two facts, I was able to get that from our book that we were reading in class. This is the map, so we can tell that there was a few around the country. But the one that I'm talking about is right here in California. That's the Manzanar. So I was very fortunate to be able to interview one of my friends' mom, Mrs. Takahashi. Sorry, I can't say it correctly. I tried. So I asked her, I'm like, okay, how old were you and how was moving there? What did your family say? And she said that she moved there when she was 13 years old from Hawaii, and she was told that her and her family were going to a summer camp. But of course it lasted more than a summer camp. She also mentioned how important her mom made for her to start speaking more English than Japanese, just for her to blend into the culture a little bit more, and for people to look at her as more American than Japanese due to that Pearl Harbor attack. I also asked her, like, how was she able to adapt, if she noticed anything weird, and she said that she was able to adapt pretty good because she was young and she played a lot with a lot of kids and got to know them. So she didn't really realize the severity of the situation. She also played a lot of like different games, like softball. She played like tag of war, all that fun stuff that kids do. Okay. And then I asked her what kind of food did people eat at the Manzanar? What did you eat? And she said that it was very basic cafeteria style food, meaning like it wasn't her traditional Japanese cuisine. Like once in a while, she said like they will get like miso soup and other different things like Japanese culture, but it was usually very much it was very much like American, like cafeteria style. But she did mention to me that during holidays they got festive foods like turkey, mashed potatoes, like Thanksgiving, mashed potatoes, gravy, all that stuff. So that was a quite interesting fact, because you would think like at a concentration camp they wouldn't care about the festive foods, but they did. So she was able to eat that. And then I asked her, I'm like, okay, how was life after Manzanar, right? How was that after effect? She said um she was able to adjust, but her dad struggled a lot to find a job afterwards. Just because not a lot of job opportunities for those who were at the Manzanar. He ended up finding a job at a restaurant, so he was able to have that, but she told me that a lot of her father's friends weren't able to find jobs, so for a few years. So till this day she did mention how Manzanar is something that has affected her whole family, and it still affects her till this day. She feels a lot of frustration just due to the United States basically stereotyping that every Japanese American, no matter if they're Japanese born, I mean, sorry, if they're American like citizens by birth, that the United States never considered that, and that they just wanted to move everyone to these concentration camps. So, the biggest thing I think after life after Manzanar was that the fact that in 1988, civil liberties, the U.S. Civil Liberty Acts grants a $20,000 payment as an apology to about 82,000 former internees. And this is according to LA Times archive in 1988. So a lot of people received this grant, and personally, and I know when I interviewed Miss Takashi, that she said that that money, that $20,000 back then, because of the frustration of her family, it did not seem like it was a fair enough apology, just because she had to leave everything behind as a basically as a child, as a teenager, had to leave everything behind from her home in Hawaii and move to California to be at a concentration camp, and then have to start over her life over and over again. So she didn't think that those $20,000, like, of course it helps, right? But she didn't think it was going to pay off her trauma for her family, her stress for her family, everything that her family had to do afterwards to rebuild their life, all their criticism that they had to experience, all the racism, them having a hard time finding a job. Her dad, she didn't think it was fair to give $20,000. But she did use the $20,000 at some point to help pay for her for a down payment. So it did help, but at the end of the day, she did not she did she didn't like the fact that that was the way of the United States apologizing, because at the end of the day, it still affected her family a lot. I personally wanted to do this research project because, how I said, I found it very interesting when we were learning it in class, when we were learning about the Japanese history in the US. And then when we learned about the Manzanar camp and all the different concentration camps and what happened after Pearl Harbor, um, I was very interested to know how was the personal aspect to that. So I was very fortunate to know someone whose mom who used to be in the concentration camp. So I found it very interesting. I was able to interview her, and I'm very fortunate to do that. And I really hope that this has affected the US history, and we're able not to commit as US citizens. We're able to learn from our past mistakes and move on and create um better decision making. So I hope that doesn't ever happen again to anyone, because it's the 21st century and we shouldn't be sending anyone to no concentration camps. These are my references. I chose my first reference was from our book, The History of Asian Americans. And I also used Los Angeles Time, and then the National Park Service as well, and another one through here, 70 years after Manzanar. Thank you very much for watching my research project and listening to my research project. And this is life at the Manzanar as a teenager during World War II. Thank you.